guys, this is Jazara. Welcome back. Today I'm bringing you an interview with one of Europe's best players in Smash Ultimate, also the #1 ranked in Smash 4 and Brawl, a Sheik and Marth legend. We got Mr.R. How you doing today,
Look,
my man?
guys. I'm doing good. I just woke up, so feeling great.
Awesome. Mr.R, one of my favorite players. Actually, the first tournament I ever watched was Apex 2015, and it was your set against Zero. I was looking up Sheik
Oh
VODs.
shit.
Yeah, so it's been a while back in 2015 when I saw that. So crazy stuff. It's awesome to have you here today, my man.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my god, that was like a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good set though.
That
Could have
was
beaten
that
him,
was, that
but
was a good
it
set.
was close. It was close. It was close.
I'm gonna ask you about that later. So keep that story ready.
Yeah, for sure.
First question I got for you, my man. So how were you introduced to Smash, and what was your first tournament that you actually went to?
Well, I used to play Smash casually, like most people, and I think it all started when my brother rented Smash 64 for a day. Because at the time, like renting video games was a thing. There were like video game stores and stuff. And we didn't have the money to buy the game, so he just rented it for like a day. And I just played it like all day, and I fell in love with the game as a kid. And Melee came out. I played Melee like every day. I thought I was like the best player in the world. I played against like 3 level 9 CPUs, and I'd like beat them, and I'd be like,
That's
damn, I'm really
right.
good at this game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's like everybody, right? So then I've always been a competitive like type of player from a young age. Like I used to play soccer every day, and I was in a club, and I played competitions and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had the competing aspect already like nailed down in my brain. Um, and then Brawl came out, and I still played like only Wi-Fi for the most part. But I started going to like this website called, I think it was called Nintendo All Stars, something along those lines.
Okay.
Um, and there are a lot of good players on the website. Ken's brother, like Ken, the Melee player, his brother was on there. His name was Mana Cloud. Just random people were on there, but they were good players. And that was like the first like taste of competition or like in Smash I've had, because there was like an online ladder. And then eventually I moved on to All Brawl, which is like a legendary website most
Main
people
website, of
know.
course. Yeah.
So I played the Wi-Fi ladder for a while, and then one season I got like top 5, because I was getting good. And then on All Brawl, like behind on the rankings, behind your name, it said where you're from, like your flag, and so there's a Dutch flag behind my name. So one of the Dutch TOs that I'm still friends with to this day, like hit me up through that website, and was like, "Oh, like I can tell you're pretty good. You should come to the tournament." And that's what I did, and here we are.
That's awesome. Were you
Yep.
still Marth back then, or were you like using different characters, or?
I was Marth and Zero back then, because it was like
Oh,
the
okay.
first year of Brawl.
For sure. Do you
Yeah.
remember how you did the tournament? Like your skill level comparative to all the other people that were there?
Yeah, so I was really good online as well. Like getting top 5 on all Brawl is like it's not an easy feat
Oh yeah.
through a lot of good players. I got 4th at my first tournament. So not bad.
Not bad at all, yeah. And were there like a lot of the strong European players there, or was it just kind of like a random local?
Oh, it was like a Dutch local,
Oh,
so
okay,
like
for
only
sure.
Dutch people,
For
yeah.
sure, for sure.
But there are some strong Dutch players at the time at least.
So speaking of Brawl, on to my next question. During Brawl, you were at least near the end were considered the best player in Europe. You were ranked number 15 on the 2014 rankings. How was it just like in the early days of Brawl in Europe, traveling around before you had the chance to go to the US? Were you really connected with the scene? Did you kind of just stay with the Dutch scene? How was that?
It's a good question. Like the Brawl community back then was a very like tight-knit community, because it wasn't as huge as it is right now.
Yeah,
So now, for example, in the Netherlands, it's like one big community, but there's like smaller groups within that community, basically.
little sub
Uh,
communities.
yeah, they tend to hang out with each other, like those groups. Whereas in Brawl is like one overall like group, one big community. Um, so I definitely like miss the like grassroots like tight knit feeling of it. But in exchange, we've got a lot of different things now, like more tournaments, more sponsors, more exposure, stuff like that. But back then it was fun traveling around because every time I traveled, I saw like the same faces. It was the same people that traveled to like the EU tournaments. And I'm still friends with a lot of people from back then, even to this day. So yeah, it was definitely a different experience. Like it wasn't like, especially for Europe back then, we didn't really get like the most views on Twitch. But it was still fun. It was a really good experience.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. I'm also from a smaller scene, so like it's nice, going to all your tournaments and you see your people every time. Like it's just nice to go and see friends.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure.
was there so when you came in, you were doing well right away. Did you climb up the ranks to like the number one player where you're from pretty quickly, or did you have competition in the area? I know like iStudying is from there, and was like a
Yep.
practice partner, doubles partner back then. Was he like your other competition, or were you kind of a little bit better than him?
So the very first tournament I went to, I got fourth, like I just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, After that, like a few months after that, the first like EU major happened, which was called the Super Lion, TSL for short. And that was like the first big EU major, and it was really hype because nobody knew who was the best player in Europe or like who was like top five.
Yeah.
We had like estimations and guesses just based off of like online rankings, but nobody could tell for sure. So going into the tournament, there were a lot of expectations for a lot of players. Um, so it was like it was a cool like first showdown basically.
Yeah.
I ended up getting second at that tournament, so I did really good. I got second to Chaos, which was a French Meta Knight. Um, and it was overall like a really good like first experience because what we did, I was like 15 or 16 at the time, so it was hard for me to travel like out of country.
Yeah.
So we had like a group of Dutch people, like a group of like 10 to 15 people, and we all traveled together to France. And within that group, there was like one person who was like older than the rest of us. He was like 22, 23,
Okay.
and he basically just like had a conversation with my parents, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take care of him. Like, don't worry." Took upon the role of like caretaker, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was 15, and I can't just like travel to France when you're 15, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. You need some sort of adult with you. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So he ended up doing that. And then I went to the tournament. I got second, and after that, I got only first place in the Netherlands for Brawl.
Nice.
I never got below like first place.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Was in the Netherlands, like I mentioned before, I studying. Was there any other kind of notable players there, or was it for the most part just you
for
two?
sure. Um, at the you mean at the EU major? Is that what you're asking?
Just in the Netherlands in general.
In general?
Like
Okay, so
yeah.
our rankings were me, Gaki, who was like a wolf player
Okay.
back then. He was also the guy that won the tournament, the first tournament that I attended, where I got fourth. So it was me, Gaki, Greg's, who was the TO that hit me up on Always Brawl, Boku, who was like a Kirby player, I studying. Uh, I think that was our top five.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's awesome. So
yeah, it was definitely a while ago.
yeah, no, the scene, it just seemed so much different back then. Like I came in and the game was already like esports a little bit, but I having it be like straight grassroots like that. Like how was the venue for that first major? Like was it kind of janky and you guys were just happy that you had a venue, or was it like pretty legit?
It was really crowded, like very very crowded. I just remember everyone being on top of each other, but like we didn't know any better, you know. We didn't know like
Yeah.
that was not supposed to be like that. We just thought it was really cool. Like, oh my god, all these players from different countries playing Smash together. So like we didn't really give it like much thought. Um, so the main venue was like a little bit like scuffed because it was really crowded.
Yeah.
But then there was like another venue which was like a teeter kind of venue for like top eight. Uh, so that was cool. It was like a movie theater type of
Oh
venue, and
snap. Okay, that's
it,
awesome.
yeah. So that was really cool.
That's what's up. Okay, so on to the next question. I'm transitioning from Brawl to Smash 4. Coming into 4, you were looking like you were ready to take on the U.S., man. You're looking like you were gonna be like the #1 overall player. You won the Sky Invitational over like basically all the top brawl players at the time.
You know your shit, huh?
I studied a little bit, man. I studied a little bit.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Won the Sky Invitational. Coming into Apex, I don't know what seed you were. It was a little hard finding the brackets back then. But you got
Forgot.
third. You were the only person to take a game off of Zero, and you ended up losing to him and DeBuzz, who came in first and second. I'm guessing DeBuzz was Rosa versus Sheik.
Yeah.
That's a rough one for sure. Minus all the tournament and stuff, as you had a group of European players come into the tournament. How did you guys prepare for that? Were you practicing with them? Did you guys talk at all, or did you all collectively like just travel over there on your own mission?
I don't think a lot of Europeans went to Apex 2015,
It
if
was
I'm not
you and
mistaken.
Sive, I think. I don't know
Yeah,
if that's how you pronounce his name.
I think Sive was there. I think there were like a few Europeans, not that many, compared to like now. Because now when like there's an Ultimate Tournament, there's like groups of like Europeans going.
Yeah.
But back then it was like me, Sive, and maybe like one or two others. Um, we didn't really practice together because Sive's like from Germany,
Oh,
I'm from the
okay,
Netherlands.
for sure.
But like we knew each other through Brawl because like he was a Brawl top player, so we were still good friends. Um, so there was like no special training I did like with Europeans. Because I traveled a lot in America back then, and I just played with American top players all the time.
For sure. Were you staying in the Apex or staying in the US coming into Apex, or did you travel in from the Netherlands?
So what I would do is I would go to New Jersey, New York, and stay for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks basically,
Okay.
and just practice with like good players.
For
And
sure.
then sometimes I go to California, stay for like a week or two, and then just practice with good players, and then go back home.
That's right. No, that sounds like it. I remember like hearing back in the day of like all the crazy fests with like you, Zero, Vinny, K9, Tyrant, like everybody. Like those sounded so
Oh
live
yeah.
to be at, bro.
Oh yeah. Because at one point, it was we were all living in the same house. It was
Yeah.
me, Vinny, Zero, Tyrant, K9, Xax, Void.
How
So
can I forget Void?
it was a really stacked house. Like it was just good practice with anybody.
All the time, yeah. And you guys would have people come and stay there as well, right? Like I think
Yep.
Trella came in one time before
Yep.
one of the tournaments. Yeah, crazy stuff. You
Yep.
guys,
Yep. Trella came and he like whooped Zero's ass for like 2 hours, and then Zero tweeted about how Ryu was broken. I still remember that.
had him top one on that tier list video, man. That
Yep.
was
Yep.
hilarious. So in Smash 4, you know your reputation, man. It always felt like you were on the wrong side of the clip. Despite
Yep.
that reputation, though, you were actually the most consistent top player, never placing below 17th at a major. For one, how does that stat make you feel, man? Like that is a very like even Zero got 65th one time. And how did it feel? Like, did you ever get heckled at tournaments because like, oh, Mr. like Dubba's gonna kill him at Zero right now? Like hearing stuff like that in the crowd. Did stuff like that ever bug you?
Not really. It didn't really happen at tournaments. It was more of a Twitter thing.
Yeah.
It was more of a meme. But in tournaments, everybody was like overall like super. The responses were usually like super positive. And I had like the crowd's favor a lot. So when I was fighting, like, I mean, if you're fighting certain players, it's more so like they don't want to cheer for them. So
I got you.
you just by default get cheered for. So like against Zero or like the Buds because of its play style.
Yeah,
So no, it was a good time at tournaments. Like nobody ever like heckled me or anything, and that was more of like a Twitter like Reddit meme, so it didn't bother me at all.
for sure. And then the 17th stat, man. Like, is that something that you hold? Like, that's a badge of pride for you, or
Definitely. I think honestly, the more I think about it, it's a pretty crazy stat because like I attended a lot of tournaments in
you
Smash 4. Like
did?
I
Yeah.
went to majors like back to back all the time,
And you
and
traveled a lot too. Is the other thing I feel like people don't mention a lot. Like you've gone like U.S. all throughout Europe. You've gone to Mexico. Like for the
yeah.
most part, like you're probably jet lagged at a lot of the tournaments and stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. There was actually a stat about a year ago that me and Armada won the most tournaments in different countries. Um, yeah, like we're like top two
Damn.
in terms of winning tournaments in the most different countries. And I think he won the more stacked tournaments because he was Armada.
Yeah, of course.
Um, but still, like I'll still take like second at least. I think by now, because he retired, like I've won more tournaments in different countries than he has. So I think I might be number one for that right now, which is crazy to think about. Uh, but I just love traveling a lot too, because there's just a lot of scenes that didn't get spotlight at the time, and like there were a lot of like hidden bosses.
Hidden
If
bosses,
you,
yeah.
yeah, like MKLeo, like nobody knew about him when I went to Mexico, and like he ended up being like the player he is right now. But at the time when I went there, like nobody knew him.
I'll bring that up right now. That was actually one of the questions I've had. So you've been throughout the game's whole history between Brawl, Smash 4 Ultimate. You've traveled, like we said, the most. You were actually one of the people who gave Mexico a chance back in Brawl. You went to Smash Factor 2 in Mexico,
Yep.
along with, like, I believe Mewtwo King and Zero were there. So what would you say? Would you say that traveling is your favorite part of competing? And what's your favorite scene that you've traveled to?
So the process of traveling itself, like taking a flight and all that, I hate that shit. But but just being in a different place is great. Like I love that aspect of traveling a
Yeah,
lot. Um, my favorite place would honestly it would have to be Mexico. Like I love traveling to Mexico so much. I think European tournaments are hyped too because by now I'm like friends with a lot of EU people, so it's always like a good time, like good vibes seeing like all my friends at tournaments.
of course.
Uh, like Europe is fun and all, but like I love traveling to Mexico because even outside of Smash, it's just such a nice country to go for as a vacation. It's like the food is great, everything's cheap. It's just perfect, honestly. Like it's a perfect vacation destination for me personally. And the community is really nice too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was about to bring that up as well. I remember like when you had traveled there in Smash 4 that you mentioned how much you liked the community and how kind they were, like willing to help you out with like accommodations and stuff, like a place to stay,
Yep.
that kind of thing. I wanted to bring up, man. I remember when you played against MKLeo. Discord wasn't even out yet. I was on Skype on a Skype group that I found on a Sheik Reddit, and we were talking
Oh my
about
God.
you versus MKLeo, and we were saying how they were having a discussion if Meta Knight beat Sheik. So I just wanted to bring that up. That's just a funny
It was
throwback
funny
moment.
'cause at the time I got second at Evo like the week before,
Yeah,
basically. And rather than people like praising Leo, they were giving me shit for losing. They're like, "Oh, he doesn't know the matchup. Like he got unlucky, like he usually does. Like he was jet lagged. Like oh, he played really bad." And I was like, "No, like this kid's really good. Like
he's good.
only
Yeah,
Mexico knows that he's really good, and now me. But like you guys will see, like he's really good. I don't think maybe I played not in my best form or whatever, but like it was 90% him playing good and maybe like 10% me playing bad.
I got you.
But it was just like it was hard to convince people because like he was such an unknown like player.
Player,
Uh,
yeah.
and I was such an established player at the time. Like I got like top eight at like every major for Smash 4 basically. So for me to get like to lose two sets to this random like 14-year-old kid in Mexico that two stocked me like two games as well. People couldn't like just couldn't accept the fact that he was that good. They couldn't accept it.
Yeah, no, Leo's insane. Like his whole like that happening, and then I believe that you went out there again for the next Smash Factor and played him again, and then like he ended up going to Canada for like Canada Cup or
Yep.
the
I
Gommel
think
or
it was
something like
Gommel, yeah.
yeah. That crazy stuff, man. Good times, good times.
Yeah, for
Uh
sure.
so on to the next question. We're gonna transition out of Smash real quick. And I feel like you knew this was coming, man. You pour
Oh
the
yeah.
milk before the cereal. And I don't know why this became such a big thing, but it did. And it caused a whole trend of top players posting their weird food opinions on Twitter. So, one, I want to ask you, do you still pour it the same? Did you consider changing your pouring technique after the whole Twitter thing? And yeah, have you tried it the other way around, man? The people are curious.
Oh, if you want to hear the truth, I don't actually eat cereal like ever.
I assumed you're a little older now. Cereal's probably out of the diet.
No, yeah, exactly. I don't even like. I think since I made that tweet, I've eaten cereal like maybe a handful of times, and it's just like people have this thought where they think I eat cereal every day and I pour my milk first like every single day. Like, no, I don't even eat cereal that often. But when I do eat it, I still pour milk first because it's optimal. Like I've already explained this a million times, but
Yeah.
I'm willing to explain it again for all the people that haven't
Let
heard
let
it
him
yet.
know. Let him know.
Look, what happens if you don't pour your milk first? You put the cereal in, you pour all the milk on it. What happens is it ends up getting
It's
soggy
soggy.
faster. Yeah, I'm not. It doesn't get soggy right away, but it gets soggy faster because all the liquid's been poured on top. So I want my cereal to remain at optimal crunch levels
Of
as long
course.
as
Of
possible,
course.
especially if I'm watching something. And most people watch something when they eat, so
He gets
it
it.
makes sense in my head. But you know how they are.
Yeah, I know how they are, man. Don't worry about it. Nah,
Glad you get me.
I'm with you. I am a crunchy cereal fan. If it gets soggy, I'm not eating it. I'm sorry. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
no good.
same.
It's no. I gave it a try after, and I'll be honest. I don't eat cereal that much either. But if I remember to put the milk first and then the cereal, I do it that way.
My man. That's what I'm saying.
I got.
There needs to be more of us.
For real,
We're in
man. For
minority
real.
right
I
now.
think I think it might be a chic main trait. You know, we
Yeah,
just we
yeah,
just
because
know what's right
we just do optimal things.
all
It's
the time,
it's
man.
installed in our brains, so it makes sense.
Okay, so on to my next question. You dominated the European scene in Brawl and Smash 4. Like you said, like you basically won every tournament in the Netherlands after a certain point. I think you didn't win one European tournament in Smash 4, and you got double eliminated by like Como and Kameme, who were like top 15 players.
True. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Um, so that isn't quite the case in Ultimate anymore. I want your opinion with the rise of players like Lutini and Siski, Bloom Forever. Do you feel like it's maybe lack of practice, your character crisis you seem to be going through, or is it just them leveling up?
I think there's a lot of factors at play. Um, for the most part, like in Brawl and Smash 4, I was younger, and I played like every single
Every
day
day,
in
yeah.
those games. Like I was addicted. Like if I played Wi-Fi every single day. That's not quite the case anymore now. And also back then, I had a lot of like international practice. Like I went to America. I played with like American top players all the time. I lived at the loft, so I was able to practice with Tweak,
Mm,
Cosmos every single day. I lived in California where I was able to practice with Zero, like
yeah.
Void every single day. Went to all these majors. I got a lot more experience back then. And now, because of like the travel ban I've been going through since like the beginning of Ultimate to the US, I just haven't had that opportunity yet to like practice with like the top level players from the States as much. So that's definitely a factor too. Another factor is that there's just more good players right now. Everybody's like hungrier than ever. Competition's bigger than ever. So it's not as like easy as it was before. And then I also don't play like a top two character anymore because I still think she was the second best in the game after Bale. A lot of people thought it was Cloud in Smash 4, but I thought it was Sheik still.
Yeah,
And
I felt like she had a higher ceiling, but Cloud like invalidated more, or looked like the low mid tiers. It was
I
just
agree. Yeah,
yeah.
I think at worst she was third best, so it doesn't really matter that much. Um, so I went from playing like a top three character, and Marth was like a top five character in
Yeah.
Brawl. So I went to playing like a top three to top five character to now playing like a top 20 character, like a top 25 character. And combined with all the other factors I mentioned, it's just harder to like, keep up with everybody when you don't play like a top tier, especially in this game. That being said, I might not be as dominant as I was before, but recently I've been doing quite
You
good. Like
have.
I'm pretty happy with my results recently. I haven't missed a top eight in Europe in like the last seven tournaments, other than the last tournament where I got ninth
Ninth, yeah.
and lost to Shutan and T before
See,
top
that
eight.
was that was a close ass set, man. That was so good against the
Yeah,
Pac-Man
that was
too.
a close set for sure.
That was a good set.
Could have taken it, but it was a good set.
Yeah.
Um, but the problem is like people don't really notice consistency as much as peaks. So if I win like one tournament, one European tournament, and place like 49th or 25th, the few tournaments after, I still get praised more for getting like top eight, like 6 tournaments in a row, basically, which is like not an easy thing to do in this game at all. Like even like Fatality got upset and like got ninth in like the UK at boss battles like last week,
Yeah,
or like Bloom Forever got like 33rd at like Ultimate Wanted. It's like it's not easy to be consistent in this game, but I've been fairly consistent at like the last 7 tournaments. But it just goes like super unnoticed because, like I said, peaks get noticed like way easier than just like, overall consistency. Um, so all those factors combined, those are probably like that's probably why.
for sure. Do you think that right now you're kind of in the process? It seems like the Crom, you got the love hate relationship with the Crom, might come out, might
Yeah.
not. Seems like you're trying to make Sheik the main, Aegis the secondary kind of matchup covering. Do you think the Aegis is gonna help you kind of make your game a little more consistent? Like we said, your results have been consistent, but to be able to take that next jump.
Yeah, the problem is for me in this game, like the top tiers are just so boring to play. Like,
Yeah.
Ages is fun, but I would much rather play Sheik. And I never like wake up and I'm like, damn, I want to play Aegis today. You know what I mean? Like, I never really have that drive. Whereas in Smash 4 and in Brawl, I really loved the characters that I played. Like,
Yeah.
I really loved Marth. I really loved Sheik. Like, I looked forward to just playing only those characters all day, and I don't have that for any top tier in this game, unfortunately. Um, Maybe Roy or Aegis, but even then, they're still not like as fun as like Sheik in Smash 4 or Martin Brawl. So that's weird. I'm trying to kind of force myself to play, but you can't really force yourself to play a character you don't love too much.
Yeah.
But I'm still trying to do it because it's worth it in the end.
Yeah, I definitely respect that. Next question I'll go to. You kind of just mentioned it. You switching back to Sheik, man. So I know that when the game first dropped, Sheik was not it. I remember you and Void both saying that when you guys played the demo, that you're like, no, like, I'm good on Sheik. Shit, throughout the game, obviously her meta has developed. She's received buffs. What's made you get faith back in the character and decide to pick her up again?
Well, obviously the buffs helped, but also Sheik's is the type of character that just progressively gets better. Cause there's a lot of room for like improvement in her moveset, the way her moveset like is designed. A lot of room for creativity and like new things to like learn. Whereas like other characters are in this game especially, they're a little bit more basic and a little bit more like black. It's a little bit more black and white in
I
their
agree.
case. But characters like Steve, Young Link, Sheik, Snake, those type of characters have a lot of depth and will honestly just progressively get better in the meta.
As the meta develops,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, Sheik is one of those characters. So like, I've always been playing her, even pre-patch. I just played her on the side as a secondary, and I'm glad I did.
I remember for
Because
like Belmonts, right? At least that's one of
yeah,
the
yeah,
matchups, at least.
yep. I played him against Belmont. I played him against Tweaks Wario in Canada,
Oh,
and it was 2-1. Like, I actually clipped him as well with a down
there we
air.
go. There we
And
go.
this was pre-patch Sheik. So I always had a Sheik like just to be sure in case she got buffed. Um, so yeah, I just like playing the character. Even in Brawl, I had a Sheik. I was like the second or third best Sheik in Brawl, after Earth and Cross. So I just always like the character in every game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember your Sheik from like the Messiah or like Force Majeure or something like that. You definitely
Yeah,
had some
there's like
Sheik
one or two
clips up in
clips.
the
Yep.
thrown up in there. Sheik crispy for sure. Well, in Brawl, like, did you ever try her in tournament, like just for fun at least, or was she specifically a friendly's character?
I picked her up like towards the end of Brawl, like the last 2 years. So I didn't really play her in tournament, which I regret honestly, because my Sheik was really good. Like I remember going to Qatar, and me and Mewtwo King were just playing friendlies for like 4 or 5 hours, and I didn't go marked a single game. It was all Meta Knight Sheik like the entire time, and I was like beating him in friendlies, like we were going
Damn.
evenish, and I was like, damn, like I didn't know my Sheik was that good. But also, Sheik was good against Meta Knight in that game, especially on FD, because you guys grab release Dacus, which is like
Okay,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, like you grab Meta Knight at 70 or 80, and he's just dead on
dead.
FD. So Mewtwo King I think was winning like most of the friendlies, but like I was able to take sets. We were going evenish for the most part, And the reason why we played those friendlies in the first place is because I was trying to give him Sheik practice in case he had to fight like Earth or Cross, who were like the best Sheiks in Japan. So we just played for 4 or 5 hours, and then that's when I realized like, damn, my Sheik's kind of good. Like my Sheik's nice. I didn't realize my Sheik was that good because Mewtwo was like one of the best players in Brawl.
Yeah.
And then Smash 4 came out, and I was like, damn, Marth sucks. Let me try playing Sheik, and that's how it started.
That's what's up. I was just about to ask that. So I'm guessing who'd you play in the demo for Smash 4 first of all, out of those 5 characters?
I
Probably
played
Link.
Sheik.
In the demo when they had like
Oh,
Mega Man, Pika, Mario, Villager, and Link. I think
did I play? I think I played Mario and Link.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And then once it dropped, you gave Marth a try, and you're like, nah, this isn't it.
Yeah, he was so slow in Brawl. Oh, I'm sorry, in Smash
Smash
4.
4, yeah.
Yeah, and in Ultimate as well. In Brawl, he was more designed like Roy and Crom are in this game. He could do like 2 fairs in one short hop. He
Yeah,
could like fair up air. He had like nair into nair combos. He had like proper combos. Not that he doesn't have combos now, but they were just designed differently back then.
I got you. His setups, like, they seem more like setups now. Like, you really need to be like sitting there trying to fish for that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So throughout the 3 Smash games that you've played, maybe even PM, I'm not too sure about your history there. Besides the fact that you played it, but you've picked up like top 3, 5 wins in every Smash game. Like, you got win on ADHD and Brawl. You've beaten Zero, Nairo, the whole list in Smash 4. You've beaten Leo and Ultimate, which are all great accomplishments. But what's your personal proudest moment that you've had in the tournament?
That's a good question. Um, hmm. It would probably have to be me beating Zero in Smash 4. The first time I beat him, because I've beaten him like 3 or 4 times in Smash 4. But the first time I beat him was like a personal victory for me because I had a pretty big loss record against him. Like everybody did, honestly.
Yeah,
I was like 0-4 or 0-5 against him. And then I finally beat him like one time, and it just felt great because he was like the best player in the world by far back then. So that's probably that one, and also in Smash 4 when Zero quit and Leo became like the best player. I also had a bad record against Leo, and then it was like the same story kind of. I was like 0-4, 0-5. Then I went to a tournament in Mexico that wasn't Smash Factory. It was like a regional in Mexico City, and I beat Leo back then, and I got first over him in the
that's
tournament.
awesome.
And this was when Leo was like dominant in Smash 4 too. But because it was like a small regional in Mexico, nobody really knew about it. But for me
We take
personally, it
those.
was yeah, it was still like a big victory for me personally.
That's awesome. Was the first Zero one? Was that the one at What the Fox when you beat him with Cloud, or was there one before that? Because I remember you beat him at one of the 2GG sagas. I think you
I think
played
it
him
was
at.
at What the Fox, but I didn't go Cloud. I think I went Sheik at What the Fox, and
Okay,
then
for
at
sure.
Royal Flush I went Cloud.
I think that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, you would say those two. I mean, those are like, what more could you ask for? You're beating the
yeah,
number 1
yeah.
player.
Yep.
Did you and Zero ever play in Brawl, or did you guys
Yeah, we
first?
did. He fucked me up.
Really?
Zero was really good in Brawl. People forget how good he was in Brawl. He was like, I actually think he might have been the best player in Brawl. Like I think he was top 2, even though he never won a major. It's like people always use that excuse, like, oh, but he hasn't won a major. Like, yeah, but he got like, he did so good at all the other tournaments, and like he might have not won like a major or like an Apex, but like at regionals, he was like dominating. Like the first time he came to the US for Brawl, he 3-stocked Mewtwo King in the Ditto, which was like insane back then because it
Yeah.
was Mewtwo King. Mewtwo King was like considered the best player, like at least top 2. And this guy from Chile just like pulls up and like 3-stocks him. I actually think Zero is like at the minimum top 2, top 3 in Brawl. But for me personally, I think he might have been the best player in Brawl. He was really good. So yeah, he fucked me up when we played.
That's what's up. Would you who is the hardest opponent for you to play against in Brawl?
Probably Zero.
Zero for sure.
Yeah.
for sure. The Meta Knights in general would give you trouble, or was he just different?
Not really. Like I had a good record against Meta Knight. It was because it was him and Music King that gave me the most trouble because their playstyle was like it was just very good against Marth.
I got you. Was would you do better against Nairo than them?
Yeah, I would do better against Nairo. Like I took Nairo to like game game three last hit before. But with Zero and Music King, they would just destroy me.
For sure. So, you've competed in at least three official Smash games, and then PM. You put some time into. I'm not sure if you played Melee at all.
Oh yeah, I played a lot of PM, but yeah, not Melee.
Okay, for sure, for sure. As somebody who's competed in four different Smash games, who is your favorite to play? Like one character in a specific game. Who's your favorite overall?
It's hard to say. I think for me, Brawl, Marth, and Smash 4 Sheik are like tied.
For sure, that's fair.
Yeah, it's hard to choose one of them because I really like both. Like they're both like perfect for my playstyle, and you're top tier, so that helps.
Of course, yeah. No, that
Yeah.
just a cherry on top right there.
Yep.
I wanna get your opinion. There's been a lot of discourse in the Smash community, of course, over two 599 characters that have been released. Kazuya and Steve. It seems like every damn time I log into Twitter, somebody's complaining about them for some reason. People don't got jobs or anything better to do besides complain about them, it seems. So what's your opinions? Do you think that they deserve to be banned? Do you think that like people have talked about the alternative rule sets with turning Steve, like giving him handicap or stuff like that? What's your opinion on all of that?
I have like drastically different opinions on both characters. I think Kazuya is the most overrated character ever. Like he's good, but he's definitely way more obnoxious and toxic than he is like good. Like I could never imagine Kazuya being like top 5 or even top 10 for that matter in this game. Because there's just too many bad matchups he has. Whereas Steve, I think, is like much better, probably the best character in the game. Way too easy to like do good with, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Not that Steve players haven't put in the time, they haven't practiced, they aren't skilled, because they're all very good players. But like the fact that you can grab somebody and just like jab them across the stage and like do like 50%, and I'm sure they can SDI away, but like you can still get the follow up. Like the fact that you can up tilt people one time and get like a 60% like free ass combo. His disadvantage is like super free. Like he has like minecart, anvil. He has like a million options like blocks. Overall, I think he's like way too easy to be like efficient with. And that's mostly my problem with him because I don't mind characters that do a lot of damage, like Peach for example. But like if it's not difficult, if it's like super free to do, then it's like that's what bothers me more. The combos that are easy to do rather than how much damage they do. Because I can respect like a cool desync like ice climbers combo because I know it's hard. You need skill to do that shit. But like if a Steve just jabs you across the stage, I'm just like
literally holding forward and pressing A over and over.
Yeah. And people are always like, oh, well, you can SDI. Yeah, you can SDI, but he can also like read your SDI and react to it and like forward air you. It's like,
and then
you can get out, but like overall, he still gets way too much for how easy that is. Basically, like he puts you in a really bad spot for like something execution wise. That's like something my nephew could do. You know what I mean? It's like that's my problem with Steve. It's not even that he's like as good as he is. It's just that he's like it's too easy to do the things he does, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you mentioned with his disadvantage, like he really just gets away with a lot for free. It feels so hard because it's like you can't land on him, but then he has like a great move to catch landings. Then you finally land. Then you're in a scramble situation against Steve, which is not the spot that you want to be in. Then you finally get him a disadvantage, and then you're trying to guess between like a move that can command grab you, or a move that's gonna fall and kill you off the top, or he's got a big old forward and back air. It's just hard. It's like you're playing chess against him.
It's super annoying, and they can also just practically sometimes throw out minecart and just hope for the best. It's like you're in disadvantage, and you throw out minecart, and then you just get the reversal and win sometimes, which is crazy. Because when you're in disadvantage, you're supposed to be in a bad spot, not like win the game. Or obviously minecart can get punished, but like it's not super free to punish it. Like, I've seen plenty of top players try to punish minecart when Steve players in disadvantage, and they just get hit and they die at like 90 or like 100. Same with Anvil. So it's like people always like bring up, oh, well, there's counterplay. Oh yeah, there is counterplay, but like I still think the move's too good at what it does, basically.
I got you. Do you think that the counterplay isn't developed enough? Like we've seen certain top players be able to take down Steve at least a little bit better than others, but then there's some people who seem like they have no clue what's going on while they're playing. Do you think that there's a general lack of experience in the top level of play, or do you think that like it just really counters some people's play styles?
There definitely is. There's definitely a lot of like stuff people still need to learn, myself including. I think Steve's a really good character, but not everybody's had like the chance to fight against a lot of good Steve players yet. Um, the thing is, like, he has such a huge bag of tricks and setups and things you need to know about. Like, oh, how do I deal with minecart in disadvantage? Like, which moves should I use? Like, how do I deal with anvil? Which moves take out blocks the best? How do I deal with TNT less trapping? Like, how do I edge guard Steve? There's just so many factors to play when you play him. And then on top of that, you need to know how to DI all the combos, SDI everything properly. Um, so you just there's just a lot to learn about the matchup. Um, that being said, I think I think it's interesting to see what's gonna be more important or what's gonna matter more, which is the Steve meta like increasing and getting better and better, or people catching up to the matchup. So it's like it's a constant like competition between the two. Because even if people know the matchup better after a while, it wouldn't matter if Steve just gets buffed every 48 hours. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like Hungrybox tweets about all the time. Because then it's just like the list of things you have to take into account just increases and increases, and then like he's just getting a better, he's becoming a better character. So it's hard to tell right now like how good Steve would be if people knew the matchup because the character's also just getting better like every 48 hours basically.
Like I just saw one today where he like puts the block off stage, then TNT at the ledge, and he could run dash attack, and it blows up, and he doesn't get hit by it for some reason. Like he's funny, man. If I play as him, I just
Yeah.
laugh while I play. I'm just like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll
He's
take it.
honestly at first when I was watching Steve plays, I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was funny because it was random as shit. But now I just get mad that I see
Frustrated,
people
yeah.
play. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That character, he's something. Bass had a similar opinion to you, where it's like, yeah, like I have my main, but like I could put in a little bit of work with Steve, and like he's gonna level up to like my puff, like pretty damn quick, and like
Yeah.
it's just yeah, having a character like you said, definitely not easy to play because players like Yanni and Jake and I'm sure Onan as well have been playing Steve for a year plus at this point. But there you definitely have to see the pickup and play potential of the character, especially with all the tweets I see like this kid like lost his round one with Roy, then picked Steve, and now he's in grand finals. Like I see at least
Yeah.
one of those a week.
No, exactly. And it's funny because like that reputation right now, everybody's saying Aegis is that type of character. Like, oh, you can just pick up Aegis and do good. Like they're really easy to pick up. And I'm just like, you guys are crazy because like, sure, Aegis might initially be easier to pick up because just the way the character's designed. There's no technical barrier for Aegis, where there is one for Steve because you need to do like block cancel up airs and there's a little bit of a technical area
100%.
barrier at first. But like once you get past that technical barrier, Steve just carries so much harder than Aegis because like he plays a different game. Whereas like Pyre and Mitra, although they're still really good, they're still top five in the game. Don't get me wrong. So they carry in that sense because they're just better than most characters. They don't carry in the sense where it's like you have to take into account all these different factors, all these bag of tricks, um, and they're not as easy at top level to play as Steve, in my opinion.
100%. Yeah. In my mind, I kind of think of Pyra and Mithra as like a really sharp sword. Like if you know what you're doing, like you're gonna be so much stronger than everybody else. And then Steve's a lightsaber. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to
Steve
know
plays
what
the
you're
game for
doing,
you.
kind of, but he's just so much stronger than you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah.
All right, so my last question I got for you, my man. As we've mentioned before, you came from the European Dutch Smash scene, which is a lot smaller than the other two major scenes, which are Japan and the United States. If you could give like one piece of advice to somebody out there who doesn't have a strong scene, access to the best practice offline, and
Hmm.
wants to reach that next caliber of player, like what would your advice be? Because you are like a clear example of somebody who did that.
Play a lot of Wi-Fi. That's my best advice. I hate playing Wi-Fi. I think it's the most frustrating shit ever. But it's like one of the best ways to get better if you play it like every day and you play it consistently. You just have to get over the part that is frustrating, which is hard. It's even hard for me. But if you really want to get better, like if you're really, really trying to get better, you have to like get past that. So just try to play Wi-Fi every day.
For sure. Yeah, we've seen recent players like, Spargo even. Like, I know Spargo, cause me and him used to be in a Smash 4 Wi-Fi crew, like when he was a kid, bro, and like
Oh,
it's
really?
it's crazy to see how far he's come. But yeah, like he's an example right there. Like just playing online like will help you improve a lot. Would you
Yeah.
suggest like I know in Brawl there was a quick play like you were finding people like mostly through online websites. Would you suggest something like quick play or elite smash or to find consistent
Um,
3 people you could play against and practice with?
Personally, I would recommend like matchmaking servers on Discord. So what you could do is like you can look up your region, see where you're from, see if they have like a local scene, and if they do, you can see if there's people that want to play you. So initially, you can just like hit up people to ask if they want to like Wi-Fi you, like through DMs or whatever, and then eventually, the more people you talk to, it's you can just ask them like, oh, is there a matchmaking server? Or is there anything where I can join? Doesn't even have to be from your like small region either. It could be from like your country or like your side of the country. So if you're like West Coast, there could be like a matchmaking server for like West Coast. Um, you just have to take the initiative upon yourself and ask people to play. You can do that or you can play Elite Smash, but Elite Smash is like a dice roll. So you could get a good game, a good opponent, like good connection, or you can just get like a Samus player or a Zelda player that rolls like every 2 seconds and
Doesn't
just
have a brain. They're just
yeah, and just
run
press the
on.
B button.
Yep.
So it's like you can get good practice, but it's not as efficient like time wise because you're gonna be wasting a lot of time on like bad connections and bad opponents.
For sure, yeah. I believe there is a website, by the way, for anybody listening. I'll try to link in the description. I believe there's a website that has like all the character discords and a lot of like the state Smash
There you
discords
go.
on there.
That's
So
perfect.
I'll try to find that and throw that in the description. I appreciate you for talking, my man. I've seen you at so many tournaments, and I don't know why I've never gone up to you and said anything, but you've always been one of my favorite players. I got a lot of Sheik players that watch the channel from some older content I made that was like tutorials and stuff. So I'm sure they'll very much appreciate it. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I need to see you number one in Europe again. Okay, I need to see you back in the U.S. whipping
For
people with
sure,
Sheik.
yeah.
How's that going, by the way? Are you having like visa or travel issues still?
Yeah, it's complicated.
For sure, for sure.
So Europeans when they go to America, they have to apply for a visa waiver called an ESTA. And that's what I've been doing for like 12 years long, basically, every time I go to the US. That's
Yeah.
what every European Smasher does even now, like Gluto, Siski. They just apply for the ESTA. But like they denied my ESTA request like for Double Down. So the only way I can go right now is if I get like a proper visa, which is like a 7 to 8 month process, and it's gonna cost me like 3K, and they can still deny me, like deny my visa
Ooh,
after I already paid for it.
paid. Yeah.
So it's I just gotta think about whether I want to do that or not because it would be tragic if I did that and
It's
they denied me.
yeah. No, that's like a lot of money right there.
Yeah, a lot of time as well because you have to do a lot of things. Like yeah, I have to go to the American embassy in the Netherlands, and it's a lot of administration as well. It's a lot of hassle and a lot of money. So I don't know if my heart could take being denied after that.
I
But I'll
got
have to
you.
think about it.
For sure. Well, all of us Sheik fans, man, we hope to see you out there, and if not, then traveling to like Canada, Mexico. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if those if it's only to the U.S. where you're having issues,
No,
but
I can go to Canada and I can easily like it's no problem to go
there
to
we
Canada
go,
at
man.
all.
U.S. get on your
Yeah.
shit, man. Stop playing with my man,
Yeah, it's
Mr.R,
literally
man.
I can go to any country in the world except the one where it matters the most, like the US.
Have you
So,
ever been
yeah.
to Japan for any events?
Yeah, I've been to Japan like 9 times.
I didn't even know
I
that.
love visiting Japan. Yeah,
That's
in
awesome.
Smash 4, I traveled to Japan a lot. And Ultimate, I went to Japan like twice. Um, once for like a Nintendo invited tournament.
Oh, awesome.
So it was me, Leo, and Nairo. We were like on a team. It was like a crew battle type of thing. And then another time just for myself, like for a tournament.
That's awesome. Have you met
Yep.
Sakurai before?
Oh, I've met him twice. Yeah,
Dude, that's
that's the
awesome,
goat.
man. That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's for real the goat right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, it was nice talking. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll link all of his socials down below, his Twitch, his Twitter, all that good stuff. Hope y'all go
Yep.
check the guy out.
For
And
sure. Thanks for having me.
of course, man, have a good night.
Yep. Take care, guys.
Have a good one.